I'll say that it's going to take time to change maybe some of this culture. There's no excuse for this information not to come up the chain.
And this is really heartbreaking to have this continued conduct. I know you're new on the job, but I told you when we visited, you got a big job, and you're going to have to make heads roll.
Former judge turned chairman John Carter of Texas talking with Secret Service Director Joseph Clancy during a budget hearing yesterday.
While the 2016 budget was supposed to be the topic of the hearing, members of Congress instead focused on the latest Secret Service scandal involving 2 senior agents accused of drunk driving.
This, as the Secret Service reported, finding a letter in the White House that tested positive for cyanide. That letter screened at the White House mail facility and now has been sent for additional testing. So, with this latest scandal, can we really trust the Secret Service to take care of the president? For more on the story, let's call on Ronald Kessler, author of the book The First Family Detail. Secret Service agents reveal the hidden lives of presidents. Also back for our discussion from Newsmax New York, Betsy McCoy, the former lieutenant governor of the Empire State. Ronald Kessler, you've been writing about this for a long time. The latest problem with the Secret Service, your take on it?
Well, it shows that nothing has changed, especially the fact that it took 5 days for the director, Clancy, to learn about this, and that was through an anonymous email. What does that tell you? You know, the hearing seemed to be predicated on the idea that he had just taken over, which is true. As of February, he became the permanent director, but he had been acting director since October, and he said it'll take time to change the culture. He seemed to have absolutely no idea how to do that. He really came across as a pathetic figure. And it just demonstrates that President Obama has been asleep at the switch ever since the Salahis penetrated the White House. You remember the party crashers 5 years ago, when at that time Obama should have taken action, should have brought in an outside director who would shake it up. That's what the recommendation was of the 4-person panel, not to mention my book, The First Family Detail. That's the only way to change the Secret Service, which has a management culture of laxness, corner cutting, and covering up.
Covering up, I'd like to probe that issue, because when we look back at the Clinton era, for example, a lot of the leaks, a lot of the slimiest things about the Clintons came out through the Secret Service. So do you think that presidents and first ladies are kind of scared to make it tough for the Secret Service, knowing that the Secret Service knows a lot about them?
Well, it's an interesting point, but from my sources, I've found that Obama and Michelle do treat agents well. There is nothing nefarious going on. On the other hand, agents have been dismayed to overhear Michelle urge her husband to be more aggressive in attacking Republicans and siding with blacks in racial controversies. But no, I think, Obama just has no sense of danger, whether you look at this situation where his own life is at stake, or whether you look at ISIS, where he called it a JV team. No sense of danger.
Ron, during the budget hearing, Clancy also admitted that alcohol was an intricate part of Secret Service culture. How was this able to go unnoticed for so long?
I think he was exaggerating on that. I don't think alcohol is part of the culture at all. Obviously there have been instances, including the prostitution scandal, of misbehavior. That was a story I broke. But these people, had been to a retirement party like all of us. They drank, but the problem was they used a Secret Service vehicle to go into the compound, and then, of course, they hit a barrier. On top of that, uniformed officers wanted to arrest them, give them a sobriety test, and a supervisor overruled them. That's part of this culture of covering up for high-ranking officials. And it does threaten the life of the president. Agents tell me it's a miracle that there has not already been an assassination.
God forbid that happens, but 15 seconds left in this segment, Ron Kessler. Should Clancy keep his job, or should he be out of there?
Oh, he should be out of there. He never should have been put in there. I wrote in an op-ed in the Washington Post in May 2012 that the Secret Service culture could lead to an assassination. And Obama is just blind to the.
When we will come back with more, stay with us.
I don't have the ability to just fire people at will. In the government, my understanding is you cannot do that. It doesn't mean that after due process, there aren't some actions.
More from that budget hearing for the Secret Service got pretty ugly as members of Congress really went after current Director Joseph Clancy on the latest drunk driving scandal within the Secret Service.
Yeah, this cyanide was found in the White House mail facility. The Secret Service released a statement saying that initial tests were negative, but a second test said it was positive for cyanide and will now be sent for further testing.
So you had this at the White House, then the budget hearing yesterday. What is going to happen with the Secret Service? Let's continue our conversation with author Ronald Kessler and Betsy McCoy, the former Lieutenant Governor of New York. Betsy's at Newsmax New York. Ron Kessler, the author of the book, The First Family Detail. Ron, this may no longer fall strictly under the auspices of the Secret Service, but speaking of first families, now allegedly a threat on Caroline Kennedy, who is our ambassador to Japan. What do you believe the government is doing? What is the State Department doing in terms of protecting our ambassadors?
Well, actually, most of that protection is by the Department of the DHS within State Department, Dignitary Protection Service. And they should have agents with these individuals at all times in public places. They did not have that in the case of the U.S. ambassador to South Korea, in part probably because he seemed to want to just be a free agent and go taking walks in public. So that figures into this equation where a protectee may not want full protection. But when it comes to the president, we're talking about something much more serious. The mail item is something that would have been detected by a facility in Anacostia, far away from the White House, so there would be no danger. But when it comes to Clancy, it was such a pathetic performance. He's already replaced some top managers who were part of this culture, but he replaced them with managers from the very same culture. And he seemed to be really befuddled about what to do about changing anything.
Sounds like the VA, doesn't it? It sounds like the VA and so many other departments of the federal government. But speaking of pathetic, I'd like to ask you about this proposal for a simulated White House so that Secret Service agents can be trained. If they're going to do that, why not a simulated golf course?
Good point. No, the Secret Service is really crumbling all around in terms of infrastructure, and that's definitely something they should have, just the way the FBI has so-called Hogan's Alley, which is a fake town where agents are trained in making arrests. They need to have that, and that was one of the problems among many when Gonzalez penetrated the White House back in September. But there's and one good thing was Clancy proposed a 16% increase in the budget. You know, this is one federal agency that really needs more money, not less money. I do think that overall in the government you could replace 1 and 2 federal employees and not lose anything because there's this really lazy culture. But that's another subject.
Sorry to interrupt, but in the 30 seconds we have remaining, are you concerned at all with our First Lady being in Japan in light of these alleged death threats against Caroline Kennedy?
No, really, death threats come in all the time. Actually, there are about 10 a day on the president and the First Lady. So, every now and then one will get out, but most of them are not made public. But on your question about whether Obama's afraid to replace the director because of what he knows, that would definitely be true with Hillary Clinton. In my book, The First Family Detail, I go into how abusive she is to agents, how nasty.
Let me understand that in just 10 seconds. Is the Secret Service presumed weak now internationally, Ron Kessler?
Oh, sure, and the fact that Gonzalez was able to shows terrorists.
Apparently, we're having some difficulty with the audio, but we heard that final answer. Thanks,